Welcome back to the lobby here at the Hotel Orloff here in scenic rural Retreat, Virginia. It's a beautiful Sunday morning. The Hotel Orloff, episode 788. I was trying to get up to 800 for July 4th. I don't know if I'm going to make that, but it's always possible. Today, I think it would be wise, in order to celebrate the birthday of our country, to look at some old Archie comic books. So that's what we're going to do on this beautiful Sunday morning, and this may take a couple of episodes. I think I did the exact same thing at exactly this time last year, but it's a good time, good patriotic thing to celebrate Archie. Let's see. I don't have a headache this morning. That's great. I decided a few days ago to cut out soft drinks and really try to cut out sugar altogether. And so, I'll show you. There's this little thing my wife has taught me. I didn't know about this. You get these weird syrups. It's blueberry lavender, right? And it's a 0 calories, 0 sugar, 0 carbs. So what I do, ladies and gentlemen, I take this cup and then I put 2 squirts. Shoot, I'm spilling. That's because I'm using one hand to operate this telephone. And then hold on. I will get a can of basically sugar-free, sparkling carbonated water out of the refrigerator here in the lobby. And this stuff is called La Croix, or La Croix, if you like. It's 0 sweetener, 0 calorie, all right, but it has the carbonation. So the hope is with that syrup that has 0 sugar, and this having 0 sugar, but the carbonation, it will create the illusion that you have a carbonated beverage. So I pour this slop into that cup, and voila. It's going to be something to drink while I watch my Archie comic books, man. All right. Delicious, almost. But I gotta cut out sugar, man. I think it's a communist plot. Right, Drew the dog? What do you think about these communist plots giving us all this sugar? All right, well, wonderful. Shoot, I gotta adjust the ladder. The ladder is the ladder in position. This ladder, see? The ladder is what I set the camera on in order to film these historic broadcasts coming to you from rural Retreat, Virginia. Historic rural Retreat, Virginia. The home of Dr. Pepper, the Civil War general that developed the magic elixir called Dr. Pepper that I used to be addicted to, but I'm trying to kick that addiction. I've gone through the headaches. Yesterday, I did a live broadcast where I had a bad headache because I was going through the withdrawal of Dr. Pepper, and I think maybe I'm on the other side. I'm hoping. So, we shall see. Ladies and gentlemen. So, my goodness. Okay, let's. So, how have you guys been doing? It's been a wonderful day, hasn't it? Wonderful Sunday morning. Okay. Oh, that's a good camera angle. Very good. Except the camera's crooked. That's better. Yes, indeed. Well, let's take a darn look at Archie Comics Box 1. I've got 5 short boxes of Archie Comics. And I thought I had one long box, but maybe I don't anymore. Let's see what we got here. Why, it's a coverless Archie. So I don't know what issue that is. See, that's what they call staple rest and migration. Sometimes the staples rest and the rest migrates into the paper. So that one could definitely use an upgrade, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my goodness. Here is Archie number 72.
One thing I will not tolerate people saying about me is that I don't like beer.
Look at that.
Beer, and I always have.
Number 72. Look a little closer, Archie. Nope, there's nothing in your eye, Betty. There's nothing in her eye, but she's got something in her mind. It says, America's largest selling teenage magazine. The Mirth of a Nation. Missing Your Kissin' reads Smear Campaign. Look at these wonderful ads in the back. Cracker Jack. Man, I was just at the supermarket a couple of days ago. No, they don't just have Cracker Jack, they have Cracker Jill. It used to be girls were perfectly okay with eating Cracker Jack, but now they've got to have a separate candy for girls. It's strange. I don't know if they have these little prizes in Cracker Jack anymore. They used to have these little cheap plastic prizes. And this is, of course, when plastic was a new invention. This is a comic from the late, it's before 1955, number 72. I'm guessing this is right around 1950. I could be wrong. But anyway, plastic was invented during World War II. Before then, there was no plastic. How about that? Okay. Yeah, that was 72. What? 72. And then we're up to 98, but it's February of 1959. How is that possible? If 78 was before the Comics Code, I'm 72. Seems like they get more than 20-something issues out of all those years, but unless Archie was published quarterly, because there were always a lot of Archie magazines, not just the Archie flagship title, which is what this is. This is obviously February of 1959. There's the Comics Code. Now, the Comics Code guaranteed parents that the comic was wholesome and everything, and virtually all comics put that code on their comic after 1955, except for Dell and later Gold Key. They figured our comics are so wholesome, we don't need that. But one of the spearheads, the people that spearheaded the Comics Code, was the man behind Archie Comics. And he kind of had a vendetta against EC, one of the main targets of the Comics Code, because of a parody of Archie that appeared in the early Mad comic book before it became a magazine that made fun of Archie and depicted him as a typical 1950s juvenile delinquent type person. And he did not like that at all. So, anyway, here is Archie number 118. And these two Archie comics, the last two, I got relatively recently from all the way from Mesa, Arizona, Gotham City Comics. So, and he's recently gotten in a few new Archies that I'll get at some point soon. Here's Archie 122, still 10 cents. There's the lie detector, which was, of course, invented by the man that created Wonder Woman. How about that? Okay, then. Interesting. Okay. Archie did the same thing that Gold Key did when the prices were going to have to go up. Comics had been 10 cents forever since the 1930s, and in late 1961 the prices were going to go up, industry-wide. Gold Key and Archie apparently both tried to go up to 15 cents. But it did not go over well, and you'll see that being issue 131. The next issue is 140, and you can see, oh, it's 12 cents. They went back down. They realized that there was a lot of resistance. Although comics that were aimed at girls, and Archie was read by boys, but it was primarily a female audience for Archie. Girls did not stop buying comics as much as boys did when the prices went up to 12 cents. People say, it's really hard to find some of those early 12-cent Marvel books, with the first Avengers and Iron Man and all that. Why are those so hard to find? Because a lot of guys just put their foot down. And boys just stopped buying as many comics until I don't think it really recovered until 65 or 66. And of course, 66, there was a huge explosion of comics because of the effect of the 1966 Batman TV series in January of 66. But yeah, so wonderful. What was I going to say? Yeah, so at DC, the sales of Superman tanked, went down at least, but Lois Lane remained consistent because Lois Lane was a Superman title, but aimed primarily more at, your sister. Archie. This is another one I got from Gotham City Comics, 143. I guess I've gotten several Archie comics at some point recently from Kevin Johnson at the historic Mesa, Arizona institution. It's been there for 90 years. Gotham City Comics. This is not in good condition. This is Archie 149. Boy, I'm watching Salty Cracker on Rumble, and he sure is using foul language today. I might need to turn that down because this is a family program. Where is my remote? I thought my remote. Ah, here. Is turn it down a bit. I don't want people to be offended. Salty Cracker is. You got to watch him on Rumble because on YouTube sometimes he'll take his shows down because he's a comedian that speaks the truth, but he speaks with a little bit of foul language, ladies and gentlemen. I heard rumblings about this, and I was sitting there going, that sounds stupid. And I don't approve of foul language. So, we'll turn that down a bit. All right. Salty Cracker, ladies and gentlemen. Rumble. This is his restream from the other night. Okay, wonderful. So that was issue 149. 153. How about that? Here's 157, which apparently I bought for $2. See the price tag? Now, the prices for these can be all over the map. Some comic stores won't charge but a couple of bucks for it. I think this is from Collected Comics in Fort Worth. Because, in theory, these beach covers are are very valuable, and people on eBay will pay a lot for the beach covers because, because there's people in beach apparel on them, and you know how some of these people are. But however, they will sit in a comic store for a long time and not sell because they don't have Deadpool in them or Venom. So yeah, maybe you can get on eBay and find somebody in New Zealand that'll pay you $20 for that comic. I kind of doubt it, but I don't know. So it depends where you go and where you're at, what you're going to pay for these old Archie comics. They traditionally didn't have a lot of value. Oh, here's another copy of that same issue. There are many cases where over the years I bought a comic a second time, sometimes a third time, and usually it's by accident because I'm trying to adjust this camera. Yikes. Usually it's by accident, unless it's like a wonderful comic like Not Brand Ech. I don't think people share my love of humor books. I did an episode about 5 or 6 episodes ago about Plop, a comic book that changed my life. It didn't get many views. People weren't interested in it. I only got about 120 views on that. Maybe because I did too many episodes back to back. People just said, hey, to heck with it, I'm not going to watch all those. But I would think people would watch about Plop. I would watch a video if someone did a video about Plop. But I don't know. I can't account for that. Okay, the great thing about Archie is it very much reflects the time in the fashions, in the movies that they're watching at the movie theater. Archie, you get a comic from, it was around from the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and up till today, although what it is now is some horrible shadow of itself where they have gory horror stories where they're zombies. People have told me those are good stories, and the people that are running Archie now are trying to be all postmodern and aware of themselves and doing little tribute covers to other comics. And it's not what it used to be. Of course, this is 164. This is Esso, which is now called Exxon. It had a advertising campaign back then. Put a tiger in your tank, so that's what that's a reference to in the back. 164. There are a lot of covers that depict bands playing. And sometimes later, Archie had his own band, and there you see them playing. But these comics are going to reflect the dances that were popular, the hairstyles, the music. And to me, that's wonderful, being a cultural historian, someone that loves kid culture, rock and roll culture. Archie comics are all part of that. I remember when I was in high school, that band, the Stray Cats, showed up, and what was his name? The main guy, Brian Setzer, some interview I read with him, he's saying, obviously he was really into Eddie Cochran records and Gene Vincent, but he also had a huge collection of Archie comics. And I'd never heard of someone else other than me that was male that collected Archie comics. And I thought, well, that's cool. But I understand why he collects Archie comics. He's probably collecting them from the 50s, the time that he's trying to recreate with his band, the Stray Cats. Here's another band cover. There were certain covers. Okay, there were the beach covers for the summer issues. There were the band covers. There were Christmas issues. Oh, those were beautiful. We'll see some of those soon. Last time I showed my Archie comics, the Christmas covers, I had separated them into a separate box. I was watching Night Tiger. He does a Christmas show every year, and he has all these Christmas covers, and he keeps them separate. And some other people do that too. They'll keep all their Halloween covers in a separate box, and and things arranged by holidays. And I thought, well, that's cool, except when you're going through your boxes trying to see if you have a particular issue so you don't buy it again. And it's like, well, it could be in my Archies, or it could be in my Christmas or my Halloween, or it's like, I started realizing I don't want to separate things too much, or it's going to get confusing. 181. Archie 181. They've done all this postmodern stuff. Like there was a TV series called Riverdale a few years ago. It may still be on the air, and I don't think that the average viewer of that had any idea that Archie had come from a comic book, or had ever probably even seen a comic book in real life. It was aimed at the CW crowd, and I saw part of the first episode, and I could immediately tell it wasn't for me. You know, it was very, it was not the Archie characters. It was very perverse and deconstructive. Not my scene. Oh my gosh! See, I've got doubles of this issue because, you know, surfing and the 60s, and I love surf music and the Beach Boys and the Ventures and the Surfaris and, you know, all that. The Trashmen, that's a great band that people don't know about. People just know Surfing Bird. They had a lot of great songs. Here's Archie 189. I'm going to start giving you assignments with every episode and tell you bands to look up. And you don't have to spend a cent because everything's free here on YouTube. Look up Little Esther. She has nothing to do with surf music, but just look up the music of Little Esther. Listen to a song called Aged and Mellow Blues by Little Esther. It'll change your life. It's one of the great songs. See, I'm having a beverage and no sugar. Maybe I can lose some of this fat. You know, back in 1974, I was in the Guinness Book of World Records as the world's fattest man. And everyone in my elementary school, you know, patted me on the back. And that's great, but I don't know if that was great. I don't think that was healthy. Archie 190. Reflecting some pop art fad that lasted for a few minutes. Shirts with like newspaper prints. But, you know, usually the fads you see on the front of these Archie comics actually were fads that actually happened. Ooh, this is a beautiful cover. And they only charged me $3 for it. So, man, look at that. You don't see Archie characters with mustaches very much. Because, you know, they're like 16, 17-year-old kids. They're high school, you know. There's a guy with a mustache. There was a guy with a mustache like that in my high school class, and I don't think they made him. They never made him shave his mustache off. I remember seeing an assistant principal kind of give him trouble about it in the hall. But he was a good kid. He was just kind of a redneck guy. He was a really nice guy. Lived down the street from me. Played drums in the school band. One of the drummers. But look at this psychedelic cover. So it's reflecting the time. This is 191. I don't know. Maybe this is a key issue. Maybe this is the first cover appearance of the Archies. Maybe it should be worth many multitudes of that $3. But I don't know. 12 cents. 15 cents. So we're now into the... So I guess they must have had the band the Archies in the comic book. That TV series called Everything's Archie, where Archie's in a band called the Archies, started in '69, I think, and and they played music in this cartoon, and they had a song "Sugar Sugar," which is, of course, was a huge hit. It was really hard for the Archies to tour because it was just one guy basically in the studio playing all the instruments, doing all the voices. I mean, it was meant for a cartoon. They never knew it would be a huge hit. And then after that, everybody tried to imitate this bubblegum rock sound. But Sugar Sugar was the #1 song of the whole year of 1969. The year of Woodstock and Jimi Hendrix and everything. But it was a bubblegum song from a Saturday morning cartoon that was the #1 song. And it's a great song. And the Archies had a lot of great music. Okay, 195. 195. Okay, yeah, so we're in the 15-cent era. Now, of course, the moon landing happened in 1969, so that's reflected on this cover. Arch, how come you kiss every girl who wears a chain belt? It's a chain reaction, Betty. If you really think about it, how Archie is portrayed in this comic, he's like a really horrible person. And, I mean, he's... Oh, well. Let's see. Yeah. Archie 203. They're famous artists over the years. Bob Montana was the big Archie artist in the 50s, and Dan DiCarlo was a big Archie artist in the 70s, and all that. But you know all that. Here's another copy of that same issue. Okay, we're still in the 15-cent era. Okay. Girls, could you stop talking 1/125th of a second? So, apparently that's how long it takes to take a picture. 1/125th of a second. Photography was first invented back in the 1850s and into the 1860s. You know, you had to remain still like maybe a full minute or close to that, or the picture would be blurred. It took that long for the picture to be taken. Which is why you've got these very stiff posed pictures of the Civil War soldiers, you know, posing for the camera. And sometimes it'll look like there's someone's arm is because they move their arm, it'll just be a blur, or it'll look like it's not even there. Or sometimes a little dog will run in front of the guys posed in the picture, and someone will look down and their head will be all blurred. So, you know, when pictures are taken in the Civil War, they're usually pictures of guys standing very still with their muskets, or they're pictures of dead guys face down in the mud, because they're not going to move for sure. So that's okay. Oh, Archie's really getting hip here. Hey gang, should we have a love in or a be in? How about an exam in? In that, what is that called? The CGC, CGI, what is it? The CBC net? What is that network? The CMC, whatever network did Riverdale? CBS network, whatever. This is how perverse these modern Hollywood producers are. They had Archie having an affair with Miss Grundy. Of course, they de-aged Miss Grundy. That's ridiculously perverse when you're making a TV show based on a comic book. You say, well, no one knew it was a comic book. It's just not right. You know, because a lot of women, they grew up reading Archie comics. Oh, a show called Riverdale's coming on. You should watch this with me. This is a comic book I read when I was a kid, and they turn it on, and that stuff's going on in the first 15 minutes. That's just how they have to bring everything down. These cultural Marxists want to bring down everything in our society. This is Archie number 213. Of course, it was kind of cool to wear Indian clothes there, you know. Oh, there's Sabrina. making an appearance. She was added to the comic in the 60s. The Teenage Witch. 222. Here's Tunnel of Love. They were also known as Dark Rides. That was a great one. Growing up at the Six Flags over Texas called the Spelunker Cave, or it was just really called the Cave. But inside there were all these alien creatures called the Spelunkers. And that ride was wonderful. It had Martin Denny Exotica music playing and black light, and it was just wonderful. And of course when Warner Brothers took over the Six Flags parks, they gutted the ride and replaced all the animatronics with Looney Tunes characters. And I love Looney Tunes, but they made it brighter inside the cave. It wasn't cool, and it was all corporate, and it wasn't funny. And then it was that way for years, and I think right after we left Texas, they brought the Spelunkers back. The Spelunker Cave had started in 1964 until, I don't know when they gutted it, maybe in the late 80s, early 90s. But anyway, I've seen videos of the new Spelunker Cave, and it's not the same as the old one, but at least they tried. They probably didn't have a choice anymore since they're not owned by Warner Brothers anymore, I don't think. So they had to get rid of the Warner Brothers characters anyway. This is Archie number 229, since it's not bagged and boarded, which it will be eventually, maybe, hopefully. Let's take a look inside. 14 ways to help you earn more money. I need to read that ad. I am hoping some of you will send off for copies of Tomb of Terror. You can make a contribution to this TV network of like $20, and I'll send you an episode of Tomb of Terror. If you already have some episodes, let me know what episode you'd like. I have 32 episodes. I'm about to do a 33rd episode. I might do that on July 4th. But yeah, this was all the different Archie titles that were out. It was there were a lot of Archie comics out, and maybe that's why Archie didn't come out monthly, because there were trust me, there were multiple Archie comics on the rack at any given time. It was not just Marvel and DC on the stands back when I was a kid. You had tons of Archie, you had Harvey Comics, you had Gold Key, you had a little bit of Dell, you had Charlton. Not all comic racks had Charlton, though. Usually Charlton was in the seedier stores, like not 7-Eleven, but you'd go into Lone Star Drive, and it was like not a huge chain of convenience stores, but someone that maybe had a distributor that where they could get books a little cheaper, and it's a comic book, but it's Charlton. It's not quite the same. Not that Charlton was bad, but yeah, I don't like the art in this one too much. This is the 20-cent era. And I'll say this art is not as good as it had been. So we're in 20-cent time. So far, I haven't seen a. Or have I? I don't think I've seen a comic yet that's actually from my childhood. I think all these comics I've gotten at a later date. I did buy Archie comics, but I must have been buying the other titles, which we'll see here in a minute. Did we just see this one? I think we did. What are you barking at, man? Yeah, I'll just show you this one. Okay, 229. $236. $238. Just wanting to know if they need a lifeguard. Um, Yeesh, this one's in bad shape. 242. 243. Now, 266 is a key issue. It's the first one that had penciling by Rachel Levine. You know, Dr. Rachel Levine was a penciler right not long after she got out of college. Here's 273. Ooh, is this the first one with a... Well, 266 didn't have a UPC code. This one does. See how bad that makes the comic cover look? It draws your attention right to that horrible thing. At least now on the comics they sell today, they make it real skinny and less obtrusive, but see, it's very big and disgusting there on this Archie number 274. Yes, indeed. 290. Okay, so we're in 1979. I believe that's when Star Trek: The Motion Picture came out. Why not? I believe Christmas. Was it Christmas of 78 or 79 that Star Trek came out? I don't know. I can't read anymore, man. Okay. Yeesh. This book is horrible because look, there's some horrible stain, like a brown check mark there. Here's the that other one was an ad promoting that Star Trek was coming. This one is also promoting that too. Yes, indeed. So there's a new Star Trek series on now that it's just apparently they have someone playing Captain Kirk in it. Did you even know that? It takes place before Star Trek. The original pilot for Star Trek with Pike and Spock. They've apparently made a TV series from that pilot called Strange New Worlds. And everyone says it's terrible. But I didn't know they'd tried to recast Kirk in that. I guess they've given up on the Star Trek movie universe. 300. Here's 300. I think what's his face that made that lost all credibility. J.J. Abrams with people that like science fiction, fantasy films after he helped in screwing up the Star Wars movies over at Disney. So I don't think people would accept him back at Star Trek. Although I'm sure he'd do better than what they're doing on TV. This is the 300th issue. It says, gee, this is my 300th anniversary and no one remembered. Yes, that's the 300th year that Archie was published. Yes, indeed. Ladies and gentlemen. Ugh. A little bit of grit at the bottom of that. Hope that wasn't a bug I just swallowed. This is Archie number 301. Roller disco was popular, and those kind of socks that went up high were popular. It was a frightening time. 308. I wonder if they still publish the Archie flagship title and whether they still keep the modern numbering or if they've started over with the numbering. Because we're up to about 1980 probably at issue 318, and they'd been publishing since the 40s. So what are they up to? They'd have to be up around 800 or 900 now probably. To me, these are recent issues. I don't consider these old, but I guess in actuality they are old. Um, I just kind of refuse to accept that so many years have passed. 325. But this is when video games being played on your television were still a new thing. Of course, those video games being played at home are what primarily killed the comic book market. 341. So it's so ironic to see video game ads in comics because it's like they're advertising their replacement. Okay, we're up to 353. Wonder what the latest issue I have of Archie is. 390. The comic is $1. I meant to bring my magnifying glass down, or I could tell you the year. Ooh, there was a bad time. When they started advertising, the inside pages were 100% recycled paper, which means they're really not making these for the collector's market. They're pretty much thumbing their noses at the collector's market, and no one wants to buy recycled paper. Collectors, but by this point, 398, the Archie comics weren't very good, let's face it. But that's a horrible thing, recycled paper. Okay, we're up to 401. It's still touting that it's recycled paper. I don't think they did that very long. 416, no longer touting recycled paper. I think the covers in this time period, there are collectors that seek after them because of the art on the cover. You can see it's a different style of art. I wouldn't be surprised if that's a sought after issue. 427. $428. $434. $435. I seem to have kind of a run here. $437. Drew, are you behind me? Yes, you are. See Drew back behind? You can't see her. Maybe I should position the camera where you can see the dog behind me, because that will get more viewers, because the dogs are more interesting than people. Uh-oh, she thinks she didn't want to be on camera, but she's on camera anyway. Did you hear her going? 437. She does that to kind of let me know she's behind me. She doesn't want me leaning back and squishing her. That's her little, hey, I'm here, brother. 448. Oh my gosh, will it never end? 449. See, I never was saying will it ever end when I was looking at the 60s covers. They were a lot cooler in the 70s ones too. Okay, 454. How strange. 457. He's looking in. That's kind of weird. Kind of weird. Okay, 473. And the last comic I ever bought was another copy of the same issue. Okay, then we get into this is a comic that was done to give away at schools, and it's produced in cooperation with the Federal Bureau of Investigation. It's an anti-drug comic. Although they all look like they're on something with their eyes. These was and that special. This comic was presented to you by, and then they put the stamp. This is from the Elks Club. So they so inside they show you that drugs are bad. How about that? Archie and his pals. And then there were these comics that were sold in religious books. Well, that's probably a wrong way of saying it. In Christian bookstores, you don't say religious bookstores. By Spire Christian Comics. Is that in focus? They published a bunch of Christian comics. I have this Tom Landry one. I have the Cross and the Switchblade. I have this Hansi one. This is a New World Coming. They were sold in Christian bookstores, and they have a Christian message, and the art's a little different. It was done by an Archie artist, Al Hartley, and he look at this hippie, man. It's a full page. What's the deal with that? Well, I'm new here at Riverdale High. You wouldn't believe my past. I've been into everything. My folks are divorced, and neither of them pay any attention to me. Life seemed like a lousy trip. But look, it shows what he used to be into. Look, Satan worshiping, it looks like. Skulls. Drinking. Pills. Hypodermics. Holy smoke, this guy was in. Look at all the bad stuff. He looks like a character from Little Abner. There was a character in Little Abner who had hair that covered his whole face. Yeah, the Riverdale Bible Club. They don't show that in the CBS TV show. What is that called? What is that network? It's the CRT CMs. I can't remember. CW Network, that's what it is. Because when it first started, I thought, what is this, a country western music channel? CW channel? Yeah, this is another Christian comic where they're going down a roller coaster, but Betty seems very scarily whacked out. Who else does? Look at the look on Reggie's face. Yeah, these comics are whacked out. Oh my goodness, what's going on? Where are they at? Oh, they go into a spook house, into a dark ride, and they're seeing all the monster stuff. That's pretty cool. Look at that. Yeah, all this character that's always dreaming about putting older women into shopping baskets and has multiple girlfriends at least saying, "Amen." Wait a minute, Archie, I thought you were a cad. All of a sudden, you've seen the light. Here's another one. Al Hartley, yes. Archie's date book. It has a price tag from, what is the store? Does it say? $1.69. Wow, that's pretty expensive for the. They were supposed to be 69 cents. They must have raised the price. Uh, yeah, they would. I mean, they were trying to help kids. So, I mean, their hearts are in the right place. It's just Al Hartley's such a whacked out artist that it makes them amusing. I'm not laughing at the fact that they're trying to do a good thing with the Archie characters. No problem with that. This is a free comic book day deal from. Oh, here they are advertising Riverdale. See, this is the TV show, rated teen, CW network. So that's Archie. That's Betty. Veronica. That has to be Jughead. I guess Reggie's over here. That must be Cheryl Blossom. I don't know. I think that's Josie. They made Josie and the Pussycats. In the original series, Josie and the Pussycats was a redhead, a blonde, and an African American. I think the blonde was the drummer. In the CW show, Josie and the Pussycats is an all African American band. Anyway, it's got this computery colored art that just doesn't look right. Well, I see what they've done. They've got a storyline that has the old style art, and it's one of those Crisis on Multiple Earths, but basically it has the modern looking Archie characters crossing over with the old, all the different generations of Archie art. Okay, so then what is this? This is Archie and Friends #1, Geeks and Games. Kind of like that TV show Geeks and Gamers. But the whole cover is made to look like the front of a old video game. And I guess I got this one from Gotham City Comics as well. Let's see. Oh, here's Archie's 65th anniversary bash. That's another free comic book day book. What? So this one was the 65th anniversary, and this one is the 80th. Can you believe there was 15 years that passed? Man, life starts going by really quick when you get older. It's kind of scary. Oh well. I guess I get to see my parents and my cat and my princess and my dog Daisy. So maybe I shouldn't fear the end. Archie and Friends #1. This is some new comic from probably 20 years ago, because it's $2.99. Okay, so whatever that is. Okay, well then I have Archie Annual. This one is not in good condition. Hey, look at that. Look at it. It's got like someone's taken a knife and stabbed the book. But it was probably very cheap, and I couldn't afford probably one in good shape. But that's Archie Annual #8. Here's Archie Annual #17. Look at the back. Groovy. The Fast Track, U.S. Royals new bike slick. Now you can make a real dragster out of a bike like this. U.S. Royal Fast Track. That's the 17th, and we skip a few years. Now we're up to year 23 of the annual. Here's year 26. How are your marks, Archie? Right on. He must have gotten a good report card grade. So that's the Archie annual. What? Oh, here's that Archie and Friends comic, but they've made it look like the Beach Boys' Endless Summer record cover. I guess I should put that with the Archie and Friends. Where was that? I wonder if that's an alternate cover of the one with the video game. I think it is. That's when comics got into this alternate cover business, which they're still doing now. And what is this? Oh. Okay, and then there was another comic called Archie and Me. This is the 28th issue of Archie and Me. Because remember, Archie was just one of the many Archie comics. Here's 66 of Archie and Me. Here's number 75 of Archie and Me. Archie 120. Archie and Me 120, yeah. 125. Did I just show you that one? No. Oh, 135. I have to say I don't like this time period, this UPC time period. There's certain decades I like more, and I certainly like the 50s, 60s, and a good part of the early 70s more than I like this. 60 cents. I don't know. This is probably 60 cents in the 80s, which to me was not a great time. What was that? 143. This is 150. Oh, here's some more of the man, I threw some of these books in here haphazardly. Here's another copy of Roller Coaster, and here's another copy of something else, and here's another Christian comic, Archie's Car. Look at this back cover. See, they got the old cliche of the devil and angel kind of tempting him. Let me get these with the other Archie Christian comics. Okay. Man. What is going on? Archie, yeah. Archie and Friends, number 7. That was a different title. Here's another copy of the 65th anniversary